So this is my third video on the alcohols, and it's going to be on producing alcohols. So there are two methods for producing alcohols, and these are steam hydration of ethene and fermentation. So for steam hydration of ethene, the conditions are 300 degrees Celsius and 70 atmospheric pressure. The catalyst is a phosphoric catalyst, and the yield overall is around 95%. The purity, well, it forms a pure alcohol, and the equation for this is ethene plus water to form ethanol. The fermentation method, well, the equation for this is glucose, which we should know from GCSE is C6H12O6, breaks up to form 2 moles of ethanol and 2 moles of carbon dioxide. The conditions for this are 35 degrees Celsius. It's done anaerobically, so that's without oxygen, and with using yeast. The reason we use this temperature and not any lower is because any lower and the reaction will be too slow. Any higher temperature will denature the enzymes, and obviously that's not going to be any use. The reason we do it anaerobically is so the alcohol doesn't oxidize, and the yield for this process, well, it's only a low yield of around 15%. And in terms of purity, it's also impure. So what's done is it's distilled using fractional distillation to increase the purity. So because obviously this is an industrial process, how science works is widely asked. So for the hydration of ethene and the fermentation process, there's a couple of factors. So for the rate of reaction, the hydration of ethene is fast, whereas the fermentation is slow. The purity, well, for hydration of ethene, a pure alcohol is formed, but in the fermentation process, an impure alcohol is formed. So because we have to further purify this, it's not economically good, to say the least. In terms of raw material, however, ethene comes from oil, and therefore it's non-renewable, it will run out. Whereas sugars are a renewable resource, so they'll always be there. Finally, in terms of cost, there's low labour costs for the ethene because it's a continuous process, whereas there's high labour costs for the fermentation as this is a batch process. And that's all you need to know for the production of alcohols.